another edition of Sunday Night Chats. I am your host, Dana. This is my co-host, Becca.
Hello.
And tonight we will be discussing, not disgusting. We will be discussing the differences between knitting and crochet. We got a great question from our dear friend Clippy last week. Okay, hold on. My mic is...
Clippy.
I am not going to...
Let me make sure, before you do like the insane explanation.
Okay.
Like let me make sure that...
All right, I will wait on my explanation.
I just want to make sure that...
Speaking of which, I need to go off camera and grab my samples that are all the way over there.
Okay. I just want to make sure that we're rip-rearing and ready to go. Okay, yep.
Okay, well, as we are waiting for you guys to pop in, or waiting for a minute, why don't you guys, as you pop in, comment below, say where you're from, what you're working on tonight, and, how your weekend was.
Let's see. Do we have one? Yeah, we got a live here. Cool, perfect.
Speaking of which, I should probably share mine on Facebook.
Got a couple lives. Okay, cool. Yeah, sure.
Let me do that real quick.
Facebook.
Oh, look, I actually got a notification that I myself went live, so...
Perfect.
You know it's working when that happens.
When you get the notification.
I know. Okay, let's see how I can... I
don't know why. I have this weird, influx of little... I know this is a really weird topic, but it's like an introduction topic. Come join us and hear about my weird hair problems. I have this, weird little, spot right here that's, growing in. And it feels like I have little,
I see it.
Do you see it? And it feels like every time I'll, brush my head, I'm like, ow! Because it's kind of pokey.
That is funny.
I don't know why. I just have this random patch, right here growing down this way. So I'm going to have a nice little willow's peak, I guess. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know what to say.
That scared one person away.
They're like, and no, we will not be watching. I was just watching it on my feed,
okay.
So that could have been my one person.
Yeah, Dana was like, I don't want to listen to this. This is garbage.
Talking about your weird hair patches on your face.
Yeah, my weird. What's she going to talk about next? Her sideburns? Some people
your imaginary Jew curls?
Right. Those are the ones. Anyway.
All right. Now that we've made sure that our live is actually working, we will be talking tonight about the differences between knitting and crochet. So last week, while we were doing our productivity just hangout hour, getting back into the groove of our Sunday night chats, a good friend of ours, Clippy, if you're here, say hey.
MVP.
They asked us about if you could look at a garment and tell the difference between tell if it was knitting or crochet. And I said, I can tell the difference. And I figured I would see if you guys could tell the difference. So I have two swatches.
What do your elf eyes see?
I'm not going to tell which is which. I do want to wait until a couple of people come in, but basically I'm going to show you guys these swatches and then see if you guys can figure out which one is which. And then I'll kind of talk about the differences between knitting and crochet, because even though a lot of people think there is some similarities, but there's actually a lot of differences. And this is a fun topic because me, as being a main crocheter, everybody thinks I'm knitting just because knitting I think is more common. So it'll be cool to kind of explain to you guys what's the difference? How can you tell if it's crochet? How you can tell if someone is crocheting or not? Good topic. I'm very excited, very excited. So we will wait a moment for a couple more of you to come in, and then I will get started on the swatch identifying.
Swatching?
I think, hopefully, actually, I was trying to pick a darker color because of our light setting. I mean, hopefully you guys will be able... I'm obviously going to bring them closer, but hopefully these aren't too bright. Thought this would be dark enough, but a nice color. I didn't want to do a boring... I didn't want it to be too dark so that you couldn't see the stitches.
Anyway. Well, looks like we had a couple...
Becca, do you know the difference between knitting and crochet?
I know that one of them has 2 stabbies and one of them only has no stabby. It's kind of a stabby. That's the one thing I know.
It depends,
yeah, it depends
on
what
how
you're
you
going
use
for.
it. It could be a stabby.
Yeah, it depends.
I mean, that's
I just
pretty
know
basic
that
knowledge.
In one random box, my sweet mother-in-law one year for Christmas, she got me like a bunch of craft stuff, which was super cool. She got me like a bunch of like sketchbooks and a bunch of like watercolor paints and like these really like a bunch of really nice like art stuff, like a whole bunch of sketchbooks. And she randomly like threw in these giant knitting needles, but like she did. I've never told her that I knit because I don't knit at all. And so she was like, she just threw them in there, and I was like, "Gay, I don't knit. Like, I don't really know what I'm gonna do with them." She's like, "Yeah, you can just use them for like home defense if you want." And I was like, "Whoa, Gay! Like, what have you been doing with your knitting needles?" Like,
they are totally a weapon.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get closer and show you guys these swatches. So this one will be swatch number 1, and this one will be swatch number 2. Number 1's coming at you.
Ooh, I'm ready. She's ready. Cover my face. There we go. Yeah, literally just cover my face. Yeah, there.
Okay, so there's one.
Mm-hmm. Very pretty. Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was swatch number 1. Here comes swatch number 2.
Rip. They're both. Yeah, just cover my face.
I'm trying.
I'm sorry. It's all weird. Backwards. Your face looked lovely in that definition. Okay. I think I have an idea.
Okay, for my watchers, which one do you think is crochet? Which one do you think is knitting? Number 1, number 2.
Where are we at?
Do 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 do.
We're just gonna sit here in silence until somebody.
I know, right? Until somebody says something.
Not saying a thing.
And if you're new and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can ask to see the swatches again.
Yeah. Because
I mean, I'll give you. If nobody really responds to me within like a certain amount of time,
yeah,
like,
we'll
all right, I will just tell you.
Yeah.
But so it'd be fun to include the audience.
Yeah, and then we can include people later. So if we end up
so
getting
swatch number 1 and swatch number 2. Which one is knitting or crochet?
do do. Oh,
Let's see the swatches. All right,
Spencer, come on.
I'll show you again. Let's see those swatches.
You are 3 seconds too late.
Too late.
No
Okay,
swatch for
I'm
you.
going to show you swatch number 1.
Let's see them swatches. Look at MVP. All right. Yeah, just cover my face entirely. Please, I insist.
No.
I'm a good sport. I am.
There we go.
Okay. Yeah, I like that angle. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Well, now my cat stole my seat.
She's like, it's my seat now.
Okay, that was number 1. Here comes number 2.
Okay. Hit him with number 2. There we go. That's good.
Okay, I see that you gave an answer, but which one? The first one or the second one? Okay.
Yeah, Spencer's a pro.
I think Spencer got it. Okay, so yes, the first swatch, the big one, was crochet.
Crash it.
And the second one was knitting. Ding, 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 ding.
Yay.
Good job, Spencer.
Wunderbar.
Spencer, do you knit and crochet?
Yeah, that was my next question. I was like, how do you know?
So smart. Yes. So, as you can see, one of the big differences between knitting and crochet is the swatch size. So, for each swatch, I did 20 stitches across and 20 rows. The same. 20 stitches across, 20 rows. This
Really?
is significantly bigger. Yes. Same size hook, 5.5 millimeter. Isn't that crazy? That's why, yeah, this is why you swatch, guys.
Yeah, so you know what? I mean, I'm a big fan of swatching in general, no matter what you're doing, but
Don't you think about it.
yeah, don't be a booty hole. Well, don't jump on me.
I thought she was considering to jump up there, and I could just see this whole thing coming down.
toppling down
Just
upon us.
toppling down. Yeah, so
Heard the song.
I was actually
Pop,
surprised as I was making this, and then also not surprised because when I made my 20 stitch chain, This was already longer than this one. So yeah, now I've lost my train of thought because the cat is distracting me.
That darn cat. Anyone watch that movie?
Okay, yeah, so that's the difference. Crochet works significantly bigger, and actually, this is the what is it called? The wattle stitch. So this is a crochet stitch that looks very similar to the knit stitch. They both have those significant V's in them. And this is also thicker material, like here. We'll have Becca feel the difference.
I'll allow it.
So that's the crochet one, and this is the simple knit stitch. Well, actually, that's stockinette.
I have a lot of questions.
Okay, what's your first question?
My question is there different sizes for knitting needles? Like, just like you have different gauges for crochet hooks. Are there different gauges for...
So each craft has same size needles or same millimeter sizes.
Okay. And this was done with the same millimeter?
Yes. So they were both done with 5.5 millimeter
what a hijinks.
hook and needles.
Okay, although this, I'm not going to lie, the backside of a knit, it looks really satisfying.
It looks so much better. Yes.
That's really satisfying.
So the cool thing about knitting is, especially with the stockinette stitch, which is what I did the swatch in, it has a significant front and back. Yeah. Crochet does not have that.
You can't see
because you work back and forth. Even with any other kind of stitch, really. You don't really... I mean, except Tunisian crochet, but that's for a different stream. Yeah, so crochet, it's reversible. So you could have, the front be the front be the back. Knitting, I mean, depending on the stitch, but usually knitting has like a significant... I know, she's just
so cute. I'm sorry, I can't.
I guess she's hanging out tonight, guys.
I'm sorry.
So.
She had her little paw, and I was like,
I know. It's
so cute.
Aw, you're going to steal the show.
Little cat. Sorry.
Bring in those followers, Luna. Do something.
So sorry. It was the paw. The paw got me.
Yeah, so that's the cool thing about knitting. Knitting, I love the look of knitting better than crochet. Depending on the stitch. But like this is just simple knitting. And it's just super, super nice and satisfying.
I have so upon observation.
Okay.
Because I have to fidget with things.
Of course.
This is way more dense than that is. Like just weight wise, that feels like literally, I would want a sweater made out of that because it's so lightweight, but also... like it's so tightly knit that it's so tightly knit together that like you can see that it covers a lot. It has a little bit of give, so it has more movement. I feel like this stitch has a lot more movement in its fabric, and it might just be because of the specific stitch that you use.
It is.
Crochet.
It very much is.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this one you basically work not in your normal spot. So this definitely, like, this would be good for, like, pot holders.
Gotcha, because there's not very much, like...
and it's thick.
Yeah, it covers a lot of ground, I feel
yeah, like, I don't think I would wear this as a sweater. I mean, it could be a scarf. Like, if somebody wants, like, a thick...
like a
like
really
dense
thick scarf. Yeah.
I actually tried to make a scarf out of this, and then I didn't like it. I think some people have made a blanket with this too, that might be depending on the yarn, because obviously
locks that heat in there. I'm
yeah,
sure.
exactly. I mean, that's what's nice about this one. It makes it, no holes.
That's so interesting. That's really cool.
Yeah,
I really like that.
So yeah, same amount of rows and stitches. Crazy, huh?
That is. You could make a tiny American flag. With like very misproportioned, but still
tiny American flag.
It's like,
oh, I see what you're talking about.
On the stream. Dun, 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 dun.
Very patriotic.
Thank you. That's so interesting. It's like, that's crazy. Sorry, I'm like really blown away.
That's okay. I'll just, as you're mesmerized over there, I'll just keep going.
That's really cool.
Okay, so one of the first big things that is the difference between knitting and crochet is hooks versus needles. Okay, where are you going?
Come here, fat baby.
Are you going to come lay on my lap? Because you've never done that in the 4 years I have had you. And if you do it on stream, at least
The
there'll
world
be proof.
will know. Yeah, we'll
Okay,
have
but
video
you cannot
footage.
come and take my knitting needles, though. So get out if you're going to attack my knitting needles.
Quiet.
Now you're distracting me. Yes, so one of the first differences between knitting and crochet is that knitting takes two needles. Crochet, one crochet hook.
See, you can do 2 stabby as opposed to that one. Or you could play the drums.
This is really dull.
very poorly.
I mean,
Yeah,
you'd
you
have to
can-
use a lot of force.
Yeah, but we won't.
These are pretty sharp. These are wooden, though, like metal ones. Yeah, these are
Ooh.
bamboo.
Those are really pretty.
Thank you, Kat, for shaking my whole table.
Fayette.
The other difference, which I wish I would have left a swatch on here, but with knitting, you leave your stitches are open, as in you leave the loops you're working on your needles. Crochet, this is done, but I can kind of show you what I'm talking about. You basically work each stitch. And each stitch comes off. You basically end up with only one loop on your stitch while you're working, on your hook while you're working.
Multiple.
Yeah, so your stitches come off as you work on them. In knitting, they stay on until you bind off, which is the technique to take them off your. Yes, to seal it. Exactly. Take them off your.
So the size of your project, is that confined to the length of?
Yes.
Okay. So you have to make sure you get the right length of those bros.
Yes.
Okay.
So this
My technical talk.
These are circular needles. They, you know what? Let me see. I don't actually think I have my. They have 2 different types of needles. One is just like the straight long ones.
Yeah. The
big stabby stabs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they have what's called circular needles, where it basically you have a cord attached to them. And yes, so usually a knitting pattern will tell you what size cords you need or your length that you need. Usually when you're working on a big project like a blanket, you want to use circular needles because this takes the weight off of your hands. So it like sits on that, but the weight isn't on your needles.
Your wrists and your needles?
Exactly.
Oh, that's
like if you
smart.
were making a blanket on just straight needles, it would be so hard to knit as it got bigger because it would be carrying all the weight on your hands.
Gotcha. I didn't know that. Knitting sounds dangerous. No wonder, like, I notice, like, a lot of women who knit have, like, really bad arthritis in their wrists. They get carpal tunnel really bad. That makes sense and that does make sense. Cause
like,
it's
do you
heavy.
see, like, you can imagine, like, some, like, little old lady just
cranking out a sweater.
And it's like, but she has the big, long needles.
Yeah.
And it's, like, heavy yarn. You're like, how are you even knitting, like, with all that weight on you? I don't know. I'm still a beginner knitter, and I love circular needles, and I only knit with circular needles, even if it's a small project. I just like them better. So that's another basic difference between knitting and crochet. But yeah, let's talk a little bit more about crochet. So yeah, crochet only uses one hook. The stitches obviously are all different. You don't have to have, like, so you want to have... If you're following a pattern, you obviously want the same crochet hook size as the pattern calls for. Okay. Or if you're kind of just doing your own thing and playing with stitches, usually yarn recommends a certain hook size on the label. Okay,
that makes sense.
Yeah, so like for...
You want, like, the really tiny, like, fine floss. You can't really do that with the jumbo needle. You wouldn't get anywhere.
You'd have huge loops. Okay. And then on the other side, you wouldn't want a tiny hook with, like, super thick yarn, because it will just, like, the stitches would just get swollen up. Yeah, it'll just look like a big ball of mush. Yeah. So Let's see. What was the other different? There was another big difference I was going to talk about with knitting and crochet. Those are the two big ones, obviously. I guess so with crochet and knitting, like I said earlier, they each have the same size millimeter hooks. So like each crochet hook is a millimeter size. So like this is a 5.5 millimeter hook. Same thing with knitting. This is a 5.5 millimeter hook. The difference is with crochet, they are they have letters. I'm like trying to think of that word, and I cannot think of the word I want to use. No, like they label crochet hooks by letters. Okay. I'm like, I cannot think of this word that I want to say.
Them.
Classify. Thank you. Wow. That was the word I was thinking of. Yes, they classify crochet hooks.
I was just joking.
With letters.
Okay. Cool.
With knitting needles, I think it's numbers. Yeah. So like for crochet hook, a 5.5 millimeter would be size I. For knitting, a 5.5 milliliter needle would be number 9. So that's a difference too. So like if you see something that has the letter on it, it's typically talking about a crochet hook. Same thing with a number. Like if this is size 9 needles, it means knitting. And usually, I mean, obviously the patterns will say hook or needle. That's a big difference too. But I know a lot of people don't really pay attention to that kind of stuff. Interesting. Hence why they think this is knitting.
Do people ever get like the patterns confused? Like they'll buy a knitting pattern and they'll try to crochet it and it just doesn't work?
I have not heard about that. Maybe.
Are they not? I mean, they're obviously not. They don't translate 100%, but are they like pretty synonymous? Like, are you able to? Yeah,
because in the pattern title, it'll say crochet pattern or knitting pattern. And I think if you bought knitting needles, you would be looking for a knitting pattern. Like if someone bought knitting needles and then looked up knitting patterns, crochet patterns should not pop up.
Gotcha.
Like they shouldn't come across crochet patterns.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we should test it.
That's a good question. Let's go. Hypothetically, if somebody didn't know the difference, like if I was just a big ding dong and was like, I'm gonna crochet, and I think that's what the two needle things are.
Right, but I guess when I don't know. That's a good question. I haven't heard of that being a problem, but maybe it is somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll leave that up to the internet.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe somebody will be like, oh, wait, this is confusing. And then they like message the pattern like designer and then be like, oh, well, this is knitting and not crochet or vice versa. I'm not sure. That's a good question though, but I have yet to hear that problem.
Cool. So it's a toss up. Okay.
Yes. So those are the three. Did I do three? 3 main differences. Yeah, I did. Gauge or swatch difference. Tool difference. Classification difference. Ooh. I sound so smart. Okay, so then that's the pretty much the basic differences with knitting and crochet. They obviously both have their own unique stitches. Like the basic 3 stitches for crochet are single crochet, half double crochet, and double crochet. The simple stitches for knitting are knit and purl. And they both look like significantly different, which is kind of cool because then they're like both unique to itself. And like this stitch is kind of similar to like the knit stitch, but as you can tell, it's not really the same. So like if you really want like the knit stitch, you might have to just bite the bullet and learn how to knit, which is what I ended up doing. Yeah. Cause I'm like, crochet just crochet doesn't look like knitting.
Yeah.
And so I like decided to just learn to knit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tried like twice and it was really hard for me.
Knit one, purl two. The only thing I know is from...
It's interesting though, because like it's so different based on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Like for me, starting with crocheting first, crochet came super easy to me and knitting was really hard.
Yeah.
My friend Amy, she knits and she learned to knit first and she still can't figure out how to crochet. Like it's, to me, I feel like, well, going from 2 to 1 seems pretty easily, but just some people, I think it's just the technicality or the, you know, the techniques that you use. When you're used to one thing, you can't go to the other thing.
And do you do things like in crochet you have like single crochet, double crochet, triple crochet, like those kind of things? Do you have things that are similar in knitting, or is it just...
Well, yeah, because there's bobble stitches in crochet, and you can do bobble stitches in knitting, which basically it just makes like a little bobble on the outside. They're like little balls that like stick out. I'm trying to think. I actually haven't done a lot of knitting. You can knit and crochet cables, like the braided looking stitches. So those are pretty similar, but again, still different. Like with knitting, you have to use like a special cable needle to help you cable knit. I've never cable knit, so I actually don't know. So if there's any knitters out there who are saying, that's wrong, please
correct us.
Please correct us. But those are the only two. Well, and then you can also you can knit a chevron pattern, just like like a crochet pattern.
That's pretty cool. So it's still okay. So it's not. It translates similarly. So it wouldn't be like you're starting crochet. Because I'd imagine if it was like going from knitting, where it's just you're literally just doing like one straight line, like going over 2 crochet would be really hard because you're just tying a bunch of like crazy knots.
Yeah. And I mean the other thing too is you work in the round. You can work in the round with both. So like you work in the round to make a hat like this. You know, same thing in knitting. You work in the round.
Gotcha.
So yeah, there's those similarities too. So there's like some similarities, but like with knitting, at least for me, there's just a whole different kind of technique because you have to get used to holding your knitting needles a certain way, and you know, working with like sliding your stitches like on your needles as you go. Like that was something I really had to get used to, and then like you have to like hold it, wrap it, and then like move your stitch off, which is kind of hard with straight needles because these are just, you know, they're straight.
They have like a hook or something on
like like that. So like with a crochet hook, there's like a hook at the top, so like it's kind of easier to like hook your loop in.
Gotcha.
And it not just slide off, because like I was trying to bind this off earlier and like my loops kept slipping off, and I'm like, I haven't knit in like 2 months, so you know, I crochet more than knit.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that is similarities in like work wise. Let's like wrap it up with like my opinions on it. So I love, I think if I had to pick the look of either, I would pick knitting. Knitting just looks so much more I cannot think of words tonight.
Defined? Did you say it's a
defined?
Stitch?
Yeah. It just looks neat.
Yeah.
And it looks simple, and like it just looks really nice and professional almost. There's some crochet stitches that I also really like, but I like the simplicity of how knitting looks, and like you said, like the durability and like the stretchability.
I mean,
exactly.
It has motion to
exactly. It. Yeah. So there's a lot of things I like better about knitting, but like work wise, like my work, like the way I have to do it, I prefer crocheting. Again, that obviously comes from 8 years of crocheting versus 3 years of knitting. I'm way more comfortable with crocheting.
Gotcha.
Crocheting is technically faster because you only use one hook, so you can just go zoom, 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 and with knitting it does take a little bit longer because you are using 2 needles, and you have to keep your project on your needles the whole time. So, like look-wise, I'd pick knitting. Productivity-wise, I would pick crochet. But like I said, I do both. I love both. I obviously do a lot of crocheting for my business side, and I do a lot of knitting for like my personal side.
Yeah, you do that for fun.
Exactly. That's like that's like my hobby.
It's your hobby's hobby.
Hobby, exactly. What are you doing?
Why are you so cute?
You're very needy tonight.
Yeah, she never hops on.
I know. Usually she makes her appearance and then she leaves.
Today's the day. We got a cat. Surprise!
Okay, so let's ask the audience a question. Do you guys knit or crochet or both? Let us know in the comments. Yeah, and then maybe if you guys like have an opinion of one over the other, let us know that too.
Yeah. Hi.
Danae says, hi, Luna. Yes, Luna's our 3rd co-host tonight.
She's way cuter.
Danae, I'm sorry that we weren't there today. I hope you had a wonderful birthday celebration, and I hope you have a wonderful birthday. Your birthday's tomorrow, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Happy birthday from all of us to you. We wish it was our birthday so we could party too. Hey.
You have to talk louder in the mic.
Oh, no.
You're like, I don't want to.
Happy birthday from all of us to you. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Okay, so we have no knitters or
No
crocheters
knitters
in
or
the comments,
crocheters.
huh? That's a little bit of a bummer, but that's okay.
She says she did. Thank you.
Yes, tomorrow. See, I knew it. I knew I had the right day.
Nailed it. Can't hide from that one.
Well, then, Becca, I guess I will ask you. Like, I know that you know how to crochet, basic.
Quite poorly, but yes.
Would you try knitting?
Yeah, I try knitting. I would try it. I mean, I have a general rule that I'll try almost anything once. Almost. Emphasis on the almost. Oh, she said, nope, I only know how to sew. Sewing is fun. I would like to.
I do know how to sew.
Broaden my sewing experiences, but yes, I would try. So it's, I mean, I don't know. I'm not.
Okay, so yeah, that's
yeah,
great.
I'd love to. Yeah.
Now, looking at the difference of how the two turn out, which one would you pick?
Which would I pick? I think it depends on what product I'm looking for.
Okay.
Like if I would like, if I want like a hat or something that goes around my neck, I think I would want like something sturdy, like crochet. Whereas if I wanted like a sweater or socks, I know those are two like big things that people like coin for knitting. Like, I'm gonna knit me some socks. But even like gloves, like I think I would want knitted gloves better because it's so lightweight. I don't feel like it sounds kind of weird, but I have like clothing claustrophobia where like if I have socks on that are too thick, I'm like, I'm dying. Same thing with gloves or things like that. Like for some reason, it's just a thickness thing. And yeah, I think it depends on what I would want it for. Like, and same thing with like a sweater. Knitting seems like it's really warm and it's really nice, but you don't feel like you have a 30-pound blanket on you.
It's not a weighted blanket.
Yeah, you don't feel like it's really heavy and that kind of stuff. So it would depend on what I would be going for. Because we have those like knit slippers and those are so comfortable. Like I love them. They're super warm.
And those are knit?
Yeah, those are knit. I think those might be upstairs. I don't know where they are. But yeah, those are knit. Those are really comfy. Shout out to Kaylee's grandma Bobby. Thank you. Every grandma's a grandma of mine. I liked grandmas. But yeah, those were really, really comfortable and they were super lightweight. As opposed to, I feel like my mom tried to crochet us some slippers once. I don't know. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I just remember I was like, it's like walking around with bricks. Like, it was so heavy. Whereas like a scarf, now that was really nice because you want something like thick and like to kind of like keep you, you know, tucked in and cozy. And then with your head, you don't want that to, I don't know, it's weird, but yes, that is my opinion.
I agree. I agree. Yep. Sweaters and for sure socks are coins to knitting. I've tried crocheting socks, not for myself. I actually crocheted socks for Hattie when she was little. And the sock part, like the foot part was big enough, but like the cuff was not, it was too tight. And crocheted socks do not look anywhere near as cute as knitted socks. So one day I will have to learn how to knit socks because...
Can knit me some socks.
Yes, I can knit you some socks.
I low-key kind of want to learn though how to knit socks because
maybe we can learn together.
Yeah, let's learn.
We should do it on stream.
We should. I agree. That'd be really fun. Let's do it right now. Let's show this idiot how to knit.
Like, watch us how to knit a scarf.
Well, that's like something that I was thinking about learning how to do myself because like it's really hard to find socks for big feet in Japan. So I'm like, what if I learn how to make my own socks?
Exactly.
So knit my own.
Yeah, because then you literally can make it just to your foot, not make it to a generic size.
And they sell plenty of yarn, so
I have plenty of yarn. I actually have a lot of sock weight yarn. And
weight?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, you
can't just buy any old yarn.
You use that kind of yarn, like worst weight yarn, you will have some big ass socks.
And some sweaty feet.
Sweaty feet. Yes, it is called fingering / sock yarn. You need to use like thin yarn to crochet and that or to knit or crochet socks.
Okay, that makes sense. So you want it
and that's
like
why it can be difficult to knit because you have to use tiny needles.
Really tiny one. I really like meticulous things though. So if it's like meticulous like that, maybe I might enjoy it.
Oh, all right. Well, we're going to find you some knitting needles and we're going to learn how to knit some socks, man.
Knit the craziest colored socks ever. I'm down. I'm totally down to learn.
Perfect. We are going to do that in the near future. Sweaters. I mean, I haven't. No, that's not true. I have crocheted a sweater and it was in like, lighter weight yarn. It actually was really nice. Like, so I think depending on yarn and the size of the yarn, you could definitely like crochet a really nice sweater and it still be comfortable. But yeah, knitting, to me, knitting looks nicer as a sweater. It's just, I don't know. It's something about the stockinette stitch. It just, the V's are all beautiful and symmetric and it just looks really nice.
A lot, yeah. It looks very symmetrical, very pretty.
Yeah, exactly. So I was trying to think. So blanket wise, I would pick crochet over knitting because crochet, you could crochet a blanket faster than you knit a blanket. Because the thing is, if you knit a blanket, you have to cast on 200 stitches and then keep all that on and then stitch 200 stitches every row. It would take you like forever to finish knitting
like that.
a blanket.
In the words of Michael Scott, nope.
Unless it's really thick yarn. I actually am knitting, one of my works in progress projects is a knitted blanket and it's with thick yarn. So it actually has worked up pretty quick. But still it takes me forever because knitting takes me forever.
Yeah.
Like, if I was crocheting, this blanket would be done already.
I always think of that, whenever I think of knitting, I always think of that scene from Spirited Away when she meets Yababa's twin sister Zaniba and she's like teaching No Face how to knit.
That's a thing?
At the table. Yeah, don't you remember that? She's like,
I haven't. I've only watched that movie once, and it was the first time I watched it with you.
She's the nice twin sister because Yababa is like that crazy like witch of the bathhouse that like turns everyone into pigs, and then Zaniba is like, oh no, that's my twin sister. Have some cake. Do you want to learn how to knit? And so she's like sitting there at the table with like this little rat and then No Face, and they're just sitting there with their needles, and she's teaching them how to knit, and she's like, knit one, purl two, very good. It's so cute. It's really, and she knits Chihiro a little hair tie for her hair. It's really cute. Anyway,
That
every
is
time
cute.
I think
Yeah,
about knitting, I think of that.
It's been a long time. I haven't watched that movie since Knitting and Crocheting, so maybe that's why I don't remember that.
Yeah, maybe not.
That did not stick to my memory
Yeah,
until later.
It's really cute, especially because it's after like No Face stops trying to eat people. So he's like an all right guy.
We're gonna give him knitting instead.
Yeah, we're gonna make him knit. It's really cute.
That is funny.
I don't remember who else is sitting. I think the little like. I don't remember who else knitting, but it's very entertaining. I think maybe the baby's trying to knit. I don't remember. Anyway, there's a giant baby. And
I remember the giant baby.
Yeah, the giant baby. And then the heads. It's been a really long time since I've seen it. All of my movies got stolen when I was in Oakhurst.
Oh, that's
Remember
right.
that?
I
Yeah.
do remember that.
All of my Miyazaki movies were gone. I was so mad because I had quite the collection.
That's so sad.
I don't know who took them either, so whatever. It is what it is and ain't what it's not. But so I haven't watched them in a really long time because they're only on digital, really, so like
That's
I
a
can't
bummer.
carry a bunch of movies around. So yeah, it was a bummer, but maybe we'll watch it again.
We will. It will happen.
Harass your children to watch them.
I love to like pay attention now to movies and stuff and be like, oh, they're knitting,
Yeah.
crocheting. That's why I love
Yeah.
New Girl so much. I'm like, oh, just knits.
Yeah. That's right. I forgot about that. Those are my knitting needles.
What does Nick say? What are you gonna knit? What does he say?
Oh no, I don't remember now.
Oh, it's like
no.
one of his famous quotes, and I can't think of what it is.
Nick Miller knitting line. Hang on.
Quick, Google.
Nick Miller knitting. Here we go. What are you knitting? A mansion?
The mansion. That's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah, that is hilarious.
I just remember the one where he like goes through her stuff and he's like, because she goes through his stuff, and so he's like trying to even the score or whatever, and he's like, look at all these. What are these things? This little metal thing. Who keeps a bowl full of these dumb metal things? She's like, Nick, those are bobby pins. I'm like, well, it's stupid. And he like opens his drawer and he's like, Jess, why do you have a drawer full of peanuts? She's like, those are my night peanuts. I was like, what? I don't know why. It's like, that's just the one scene that sticks in my head every single time I think of New Girl. I just think of Jess being like, Nick, those are my night peanuts. Why is that so weird? And I'm like, checks out. I'd have night peanuts.
You would.
Anyway.
Anyway, off topic. I think that is pretty much all I really had to discuss about knitting and crochet. So if you guys have any questions about knitting or crochet or both, I'm totally cool with answering some awesome questions. Like I said, I definitely know a lot more about crocheting than knitting, but I know pretty much the basics of knitting and love knitting. And I've known several people who do knit and talk about knitting. So I can definitely answer some basic questions. But I thought that was a good subject to talk about because people don't really know
the difference.
that there is a difference.
It's true.
And us crocheters always get left in the dark because everybody thinks we knit. And for the longest time, I'm like, no, I don't know how to knit. Knitting is hard. I just crochet.
What do you think?
Now I can say, well, I do know how to knit, but no, at the moment I am not knitting. I am crocheting. I always have to make sure that I'm like saying it like when people's like, oh, is that knitting? Or like, oh, what you're knitting? I'm like, oh, well, actually I'm crocheting this. I'm like, oh. Like I always like want to be like, oh, it's crochet. It's like that. Yeah. That Batman and Robin meme.
You can get even
like I love your knitting, and it's Batman
slapping him.
It's crochet.
Is it sad that my first thought was like, what are you knitting? Your body bag.
Ooh.
That would be a little much though. Probably a little A little too much.
A noose.
A noose, yeah. Now find me a dramatic tree. We're fine. I promise. We're fine.
I'm just kidding.
Dana's like, send help. She's like signing in the corner.
Morse code.
Is you like tapping?
All right. Well, I think that's all we have to talk about on knitting versus crochet. So with the time we have left, we're just going to kind of have a productivity hour. Tonight, I'm still working on these adorable
Cozies.
cup cozies featuring Baby Yoda. And I am
really
actually showing you how you can use it. I have a Starbucks reusable cup, and my coffee is not hot anymore. But when it was hot, this actually is really warm.
Those plastic cups, man.
Yeah, so it was very
Lava.
nice to have this on here and be able to keep my hands from getting hot. And it's a cute accessory, you know?
True.
Actually looks really well with the red.
Yeah.
Green and the
very
red.
Christmassy.
It's very, very Christmassy. And these make a great Christmas gift.
It's true.
We've actually sold, I think, 15 in a week. We launched it a week ago on Friday.
Very nice.
You guys are loving the Child Bounty cup
Everyone
cozies.
loves the child, man. Everyone loves it.
Everyone is starstruck with Baby Yoda.
It's true.
Even though it's not Baby Yoda, but it is
Everyone
Baby
calls
Yoda.
it Baby Yoda. I know.
It is, but it's not. The Baby Yoda show.
Art's like, are we gonna watch the Baby Yoda show? I'm like, babe, it's called The
You
Mandalorian.
mean Mandalorian? No, the Baby Yoda show.
He's like, no. It was so funny. He wanted to watch it, obviously, because everyone's watching it right now. So he's like, I'll watch it. And he likes Star Wars. He's not a passionate fan like most people, but he's more of a Trekker. He likes Star Trek a little bit more.
Trekkie.
He watches more Star Trek than Star Wars, and he likes a good story. So he's like, I'll watch it. And he really liked Mando. He thought Mando was really cool. And then as soon as the child came into the picture, he was like, Mando who? Because that child is adorable. Like, every single time he watched, like, anytime Baby Yoda was on the screen, he's like, he's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I was like, whoa, buddy.
He seriously is cute, though.
Yeah, he is really cute.
Even Cameron, my husband, loves Baby Yoda.
Yeah, Baby Yoda's pretty cute.
He's not obsessed with Baby Yoda, but he's like, Baby Yoda is so freaking cute. I'm like, oh my gosh, you are totally a dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was surprised, too, how many people, like, Baby Yoda took the world by storm. Like, the second he was introduced, like, it was like like, the next day there was Baby Yoda everything.
Dude, it blew up
Literally
in
everything.
the crochet community. And that's when Disney started to get cray-cray with
cracking down on, because they hadn't released any child
merchandise.
merchandise yet, and people were making it themselves, which, I mean, go y'all, because it's marketable. Jump on it. Why not? And yeah, I know Disney got really upset, but yeah, it blew up. And that was one of the reasons why I was like, also I didn't have Disney Plus. And we didn't have access to Disney Plus in Okinawa when it came out. So I was really disappointed, because they're also coming out on Disney Plus. I think it's next year. They have The Vision and the Scarlet Witch, the TV show. And I'm very excited about that, because Scarlet Witch is my favorite Marvel character from, like, when she was first introduced. Super favorite. I love her dearly. So when they said she was going to get her own show, and it's also modeled after the older, like, 60s 70s kind of look. So it's like they're stuck in, like, just these crazy, like, sitcoms. So it looks really fun. It looks really vintage, but it also looks, like, kind of spooky, but not, like, scary, but, like, you can tell it's, like, a figment of her imagination. Or she's, like, making this multi-universe thing where, like, she gets to live out the life she always wanted to have. So I'm like, oh, this is kind of scary. Like, but I'm really excited for it. So, but that came out. I wanted to get Disney Plus because of that show. I really wanted to watch that, but they don't have it in Japan yet. so I wasn't able to get it. And everyone was like raging about Disney Plus. So I was like, well, maybe we'll wait.
Is
I
it
mean,
gonna go to
honestly-
Japan soon? Has it gone to Japan yet?
Not yet. No. No, I
Huh.
don't. I think we're supposed to get it 3 years after.
Oh, that's crazy. So
Yeah,
that's not for
really
2 more
late.
years.
Yeah, 2 more years. Clippy.
Hey.
Hi.
Welcome.
Welcome. So yeah, we haven't got it yet. I checked to see if they were gonna have it anytime soon, and they didn't really. They gave a rough estimate of like 3 years, because I don't know if they're trying to make their own like Japanese content for it. Like I don't know if they're doing that, but I know they're also not available in a lot of other countries. I think Europe has it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm 97% sure Europe just got Disney Plus.
Interesting.
But yeah, so it's probably gonna be a while.
I didn't realize it took so long to get to like other countries. You know,
Yeah,
like, I didn't realize it was like years of process.
Yeah, it's a long time. So I'm not really looking forward to the wait. They have something kind of similar, but it's not the same. It's not the same thing, if that makes sense. Like you don't have all of the like original TV shows and documentaries and like the cool stuff like that. They just have like a Disney movie service where you can just watch Disney movies, but it's not the same thing.
I see.
So
Interesting.
yeah. They want it desperately because anything Disney, Japan has to have.
Well, yeah.
So.
That's why when you said 3 years, I'm like,
Mhm.
how is Japan not fighting
Yeah.
for it to come sooner?
Yeah, I was
crazy.
surprised too. Yeah, Japan is I'm sorry, Disney is why Japan has anime.
Right. I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. But like, yeah, they worship Disney. It's really kind of crazy how much there's Disney all over the place. So I was really surprised that we weren't going to get it for another couple years. So that was really disappointing. But anyway, how are you today, Clippy? How's life? How's the kids? I don't know if you have kids, but
Your imaginary kids.
making small talk. Yeah, how are the gremlins that you imagine in your basement? I hope they're well. Don't feed them after dark. And don't let them get wet. It got really cold all of a sudden.
Yeah, it actually has been cold in California. We've got highs of 54 past couple days.
Yeah, it was raining.
It was raining. It was raining yesterday and today. Raining pretty hard today,
So
actually.
cold.
So it's been actually a nice change. Finally, we get fall in November.
What? Clippy said, no, I don't have kids yet, LOL. Said, yes, super cold.
Oh, is it super cold where you are too?
Very
cool. Or are you in
Are you in
California?
Because, yes, this weather is super cold for Californians. But in Texas, it's like, oh, it's still warm.
Yeah, it was crazy. My
San
mom.
Francisco, cool.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Very nice. How cold is it up there?
It might be colder up there.
I'd imagine
you are in
it
the north.
usually is colder. That's super cool. I'm sorry, what were we going to say?
I was going to say that in Indiana yesterday, it was warmer there than it was here. It was 75 there, and it was 54 here.
Wow.
So it's a big deal when it's warmer in
Colder.
Indiana than California.
Clippy says it's blanket weather. Like,
Blanket, sweater weather.
Sweater weather. Blanket, yeah, it's like four blankets at night, kind of cold.
Blankets and snuggles.
Blankets and snuggles weather. It's good weather, man.
Which I'm happy for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it's hot, you do not want to snuggle.
Nope.
You're like, don't touch me at all.
There's only so much you can take off in public before it gets weird. You know what I mean? Like when it's hot, you're just like, I'm surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, and I'm in the booth.
Maybe we should have been on Just Chatting.
Right? Yeah. This is perfect for that. Show titties. Not on your life.
Ever.
Yeah. These sweater puppies aren't for the public to see. Sweater puppies. Sorry, I'm just laughing about last night still. We found a new game last night. What was it called?
Listicles?
It sounded like suspiciously like another thing that if you accidentally slipped up and said
with the T.
Yeah, with the T. We were like, all the guys were like, did you I was like, no, that's not what we said. Listicles. It's actually really fun. It's kind of similar to categories, except you make lists. And they're really fun, different categories. Like, what was like 9 like songs not to play at a funeral?
That
like,
one was fun.
Oh gosh, Dana's brother thought that it was not to play on the piano.
And his choices were perfect. Like it worked perfectly for the not at a funeral thing.
It was so funny. Yeah, he thought it would just be like not
on the piano. And his first answer was somebody kill me from Wedding Singer. And we were all dying.
Somebody kill me, please. We were like, it's perfect.
And
like,
then another one he said was, hello, darkness, my old friend.
Come to talk to you again. Yeah, it was so funny.
It was
like
great.
Candle scents. What was it like? We had a
scents you
really
would want
one.
as a cancel, as a candle,
as a candle. That was really fun. Oh gosh, there's so many different. It was really, really fun.
It was a fun group game. So we had our friends, well, your in-laws, which is so weird to say,
I know,
but
weird.
We had friends over celebrating a friend's birthday, and they stayed the night last night. So we, after the kiddos all went to bed, we got to have some drinks, play some games. It was really, really nice. It's nice to be an adult sometimes.
Yeah, and it's just good old-fashioned fun. We just came up with some words, whipped out a dictionary, and had a good time. So it was really, really cool. It was a lot of fun. But the game was surprisingly really fun.
Yeah, listicles.
Listicles.
That's what it's called for anybody who wants to look up the game.
And they had like a end voting for. They have like a dice with a category.
Yeah, it's made by BuzzFeed. So they had like some
game.
dice you roll, and you got to vote.
On
what was the answer that was closest to like. That made you go OMG, or made you go WTF, or what was the other one?
Ew.
Trashy. It was a trashy answer.
Trashy, ew.
Hot.
A couple different silly things. Yeah. And you had to vote on what was. So it's kind of fun. It was like a good mix of categories with like also like the moment of like apples to apples or Cards Against Humanity when you're like violently trying to like convince somebody that your card is the best answer.
Right.
So it's like it's a fun combo of that. So it was pretty fun.
Yeah, and then it's fun to kind of see how, because like with categories, if you and somebody else have the same answer, they don't count. So like kind of to see how many other people like thought of the same answer as you
do. Yeah.
Or it like challenges you because you're like, oh, this is the obvious answer, but everybody else is going to say that, and then you don't put that answer, you put something else.
I liked it too because there was far less chance for you to get something that somebody else wrote as well, just because everyone thinks so differently. Like we learned that in like the things that give you warm fuzzies one. Like some of us were taking it really seriously, and we're like, well, what gives me personally warm fuzzies? Because that's like the easiest way to get points is like things that give me warm fuzzies aren't probably going to be the same things that like give my husband warm fuzzies, or like or somebody else warm, or like Dana, like crocheting gives Dana warm fuzzies.
I know I should have put crochet as one of my answers.
Like and like different thing, like toast gives me warm fuzzies because I love toast. Like fight me, I don't know.
I need to crochet you a toast scarf.
Yes, I love toast. But so yeah, that one was really fun because you kind of got to see the differences of like how people think.
It is. I love those kind of games. It's fun. It brings out everybody's personality.
Yeah, and it's a good laughing game. It's an opportunity to laugh, which is really awesome. But
all right. Well, it is almost our hour knockout. We're probably gonna go ahead and stop at an hour tonight, just because it's been a long day for my family, and I've got to get the kiddos down. But I'm really thankful for you guys, as always, that come and watch our stream. For those who are watching and are like, what the heck is this? Well, every Sunday night we hop on and we do what's called Sunday night chats. I've been trying to think of more themes related to like crocheting and knitting. So tonight we explored the differences between the two. And then, productivity hour. So usually we have a project to work on. We encourage you guys to bring a project too and interact and hang out with us and just have like a nice craft and chill hour. So we hope to see you guys maybe next week. And again, my name is Dana and this is Becca. And we hope you guys have a good week. And we will see you on our next stream.